Texas Senator Ted Cruz called the For the People Act, which would reform our elections, get money out of politics, secure the elections by ensuring that there are paper ballots and that voting machines aren't connected to, the internet. He spread a bunch of lies about them, basically made it seem as though they're actually undemocratic and would allow for ineligible voters to vote. Let's hear what his lies were exactly.
This bill right now automatically registers to vote anyone who interacts with the government. So if you get a welfare check, if you get an unemployment check, if you get a driver's license, you attend a public college or university, you're automatically registered to vote. Millions of illegal immigrants fall into those categories. It explicitly sets up a process to register those millions of illegal immigrants.
All right, let's go to Daniel Dale from CNN, their fact checker.
None of what you just heard is correct. The Democrats' proposed election legislation explicitly says over and over that only American citizens would be eligible to get registered, just like under current law. Automatic voter registration does not mean literally everyone gets registered regardless of their immigration status. Here's how it does work. When a US citizen has dealings with a government agency, from the DMV to a Medicaid office, they would automatically have their info sent to elections officials to get signed up to vote unless they decided to opt out. Under the Democratic bill, the info sent to elections officials would have to include information showing this person is a citizen. Now, Senator Cruz notes that the bill doesn't require people to provide hard proof that they're a citizen, that they're allowed to simply declare that they are. Well, here's some critical context. Only a declaration of citizenship is required today under existing federal law. And the declaration system works. Non-citizens face prison time and deportation if they lie about this, and fraud is extremely rare. Similarly, it is true that non-citizens sometimes mistakenly get registered under automatic voter registration, but such mistakes also happen sometimes without automatic voter registration. And we know that mistakes aren't a widespread problem under so-called AVR systems. More than a third of US states from Georgia to Oregon already have AVR, and there's no sign that undocumented immigrants are being registered in large numbers in those states. In summary, again, Senator Cruz's claims are just plain incorrect.
I just want to get to a point where both sides or multiple sides to any debate can at least agree on the facts, because in this country we spend an insane amount of time just trying to agree on what the facts are before we can even engage in the legitimate debate. The For the People Act isn't gonna pass. Democrats are weak, Manchin is trash. Manchin has already said he's against it because he's really a Republican in Democrats' clothing, barely. And so it's not, that's part of the reason why this story doesn't even really matter. Ted Cruz is gonna lie right there on the Senate floor. This is what he does, just like every other Republican lawmaker, and in some cases Democratic lawmakers as well. The For the People Act isn't gonna pass. We're still gonna have a broken electoral system. We're still gonna have problems with money in politics. Nothing is gonna change because we have a group of feckless, low-life losers who are just self-interested in Congress, and Ted Cruz is among one of the top that fall under that category.
Yeah, Ted Cruz lying is not the breaking news, but I think this story is important because 5 years ago, it is inconceivable that an outlet like CNN would have fact-checked a Republican senator. They could say all day long that they would have, they didn't. We covered it thoroughly throughout. And so, don't get me wrong, I'm giving them credit now. That was a great fact check. Normally that's what we have to do on the show. Normally Ted Cruz will go on a place like CNN, just lie and lie and lie, nobody will say anything. Then we'll break it down the next day and tell you that's actually, none of that is true, here's why. I don't have to say it anymore because Daniel Dale just said it, and he said it on CNN. To me, that's borderline shocking. Again, normally they just cater to corporate Republicans and Democrats. The fact that they, because of the Trump era, have begun to say things that are true about them, like they're lying, that's amazing. It shouldn't be amazing. It should be elementary for journalists to say what is true and what is not true. But it's taken us, for me at least, a quarter of a century of covering politics and news before I could finally see journalism break out on cable news. So that's a great development, it is.
Look, what you're saying is true, but it does remind me quite a bit of previous conversations that we've had about husbands who take out the garbage and then want like a congratulatory like gift basket after doing so, like they do the bare minimum.
God, that sounds so good.
Yeah, I know. They want the gift basket after they do the bare minimum, like after they do what they're supposed to do, which is help around the house, also take out the trash, load the dishwasher, whatever it is. In this case, sure, I guess CNN gets cookies for doing some fact checking. Congratulations. But what's the point of the media? Like, what's the point of journalism if it isn't the fact checking? Like, people in positions of power lie. This isn't even about ideological differences. Anyone in a position of power, a politician, someone, a manager at a company who's trying to defend himself after they did something awful, they're gonna lie. They hold press conferences to lie. They do these speeches on the House or the Senate floor to lie. Like, it is your job as a journalist to immediately assume that they're lying to you, and through your fact checking, you should be pleasantly surprised when they don't lie to you. That's what journalism is.
Well, was supposed to be. It didn't turn out that way. They view official sources as credible, unofficial sources, that's people like you, as not credible, right? And so, but look, Chuck Todd, in a different instance over the weekend, checked Dan Crenshaw a tiny bit.
Barely.
Right? So that's another Republican, and only when he was attacking the media. He attacks you guys, maybe we correct it, maybe we don't. He attacks the media, he's like, whoa, right? But again, I've seen Chuck Todd his whole career. He never did that before. So there's like tiny little instances of journalism breaking out. And so I'm here to encourage it. I wish there was more of it, and maybe one day there'll be more of it. But I want to go back finally to the policy issue that Anna brought up, that Ted Cruz was talking about in the first place. Yes, he's absolutely positively lying about how they're all gonna register undocumented immigrants and it's all gonna be over the top fraud. Daniel Dale already told you the facts on that. But on the Democratic side, they're also guilty. So Joe Manchin, basically they've now split up what used to be HR 1. There's an oversimplification, but good enough, into two different bills. The John Lewis bill, again, oversimplification, and the For the People Act. So Manchin says, well, maybe I could do the John Lewis one. Hey, that makes me look like a civil rights hero, and there's some positives in that bill. But For the People Act, he's not going to do. Now, what did I tell you guys? If you watch the Young Turks every day, you know I told you they would take HR 1 and they would take out the anti-corruption parts in it. For the People Act has all the anti-corruption parts, and they're jettisoning it. And you could say, hey, I'm blaming Joe Manchin for that because he's the one driving it. I don't see Biden fighting him.
Right.
I see some people huffing and puffing, but are they fighting Manchin? Are they doing anything to actually say, no, not on our watch, and what do we need to do to make sure he doesn't get away with it? Maybe they will later, but right now, sound of silence. Nothing. Joe Manchin is president, and let's be honest, Joe Biden likes it. Joe Biden gets to use Manchin as an excuse for doing the things he actually wants to do as a conservative Democrat.
Just like FDR would do, right?
Yeah, just like FDR. So look, we're here to be honest about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and the media. And if you don't like it, that's a sad day for you. But what we're doing is we're delivering the truth for you. And Daniel Dale, thank you for being a partner in that. And CNN, thank you for being a partner in that, at least in that instance. Very much appreciated. We look forward to more.
But be careful what you wish for with fact checking. I mean, fact checking is great. But when fact checking is used, or it's a cover, right? Like we've seen quite a bit of that with like the Washington Post, for instance, during Democratic primaries when Bernie Sanders is running and they fact check Bernie Sanders. And their fact checks, I mean, they'll give him like a billion Pinocchios when in reality he didn't lie at all, and there is ample evidence indicating that he didn't lie at all. So like that's something to look out for as well. Fact check the fact checkers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, look, we've given you many examples of so-called fact checks where they say Bernie or some other progressive is largely right, and then they'll give him 3 Pinocchios on a technicality that they think. They're like, well, he said over 10 years, but it's over 11 years, 3 Pinocchios. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Right? And so that's okay. It's not okay, but that is a phenomenon. And related to that, last thing is that, so Chuck Todd tweaks Dan Crenshaw. That was huge news this weekend. Chuck Todd talked about, was it brown shirts? Was it him or Scarborough or everyone else on MSNBC, right? When it came to Bernie Sanders and progressives and Chris Matthews, etc. Like they will say vicious things about progressives nonstop, and nobody thinks that's newsworthy because they're like, oh yeah, they're holding the powerless accountable. But when they hold a powerful accountable, we're like, whoa, is that media in America? So maybe the exception proves the rule, which is that no, normally they do not hold the powerful accountable. That's why this is a breaking news story. It's somebody in journalism did their job, holy cow. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.